Today's class is all about gratitude. Now, you might be wondering what in the world gratitude has to do with weight loss. Well, studies have shown that people who make a conscious effort to live in gratitude experience increased productivity, better sleep, less stress, and more joy and contentment in their lives. And that means more success in whatever it is that they endeavor to do, including weight loss. When we live in gratitude, our awareness begins to shift. Rather than focusing on the negative or stressful things that may happen throughout each day, we start to become more aware of the blessings that are all around us. And when we're in this feeling of blessed contentment, and we're mindfully grateful for the people in our life, and for our bodies that allow us to move through this life, to walk and run and dance and experience, there's nothing that will be able to stop us from losing weight and becoming the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. We'll want to treat ourselves right with optimal nutrition, the right supplements, and exercise, because we love ourselves and are too grateful for our bodies not to. Living in gratitude means paying attention to the little things we often miss because we're too tired, too stressed, or too busy. And the most wonderful part is that when we begin to open our hearts in this way, we start to feel less tired, less stressed, and yes, even less busy. Because there's always time to stop and appreciate. And by doing this, we're subconsciously letting ourselves know that there is enough time. All that needs to be done will be done, and there's no need to stress. The gratitude journal that you'll print out for today's homework will also include a daily affirmation at the top of each page. I like to think of affirmations as a way of saying yes to myself and to the possibility of making each day better than the one before. And if you're not quite sure about the importance of affirmations, consider this. Did you know that the average person has roughly between 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day? That's certainly a lot of opportunities to remind ourselves how wonderful and capable we are, or to completely sabotage ourselves with negativity. Because the worst thing about having all these thoughts each day is that the majority of them are what we call automatic negative thoughts. I call them ants, running on repeat over and over throughout the day. Once we realize this, it quickly becomes apparent that we must become mindful of what we're thinking about. Only then can we begin to break down the negative thought patterns that we don't even realize are controlling us, making us feel tired, depressed, and stressed, so that we can't even fathom trying to lose weight. Not to mention zapping our self-esteem, lowering our confidence, and taking from us one of the most beautiful gifts that we've been given, the gift of self-love. When we love ourselves, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We no longer have to wonder if we're good enough, if we're smart enough, if we're pretty enough, if we're thin enough, if people like us enough. The list of superficial things that we use to measure our own worth goes on and on. But none of the things on that list help to enrich our lives in any way, bring value to our lives, or make our lives better at all. And none of them matter. None of them are true measures of how truly precious and valuable each one of us is, and how much love and light we bring to the world just by our very existence. Daily affirmations are so important. They help us to break free from the negative thought patterns and begin to take back our power, not only over our thoughts, but in every aspect of our lives. They remind us that we have value, we have purpose, and we can achieve anything we set our hearts on. They can even help us with weight loss. So, as we begin this weight loss journey, I want you to use your gratitude journal in whatever way works best for you. But I'll give you a quick rundown of how I use it. So I printed it out and stapled it together And I keep it in the drawer of my nightstand right next to my bed so it can be part of both my morning and nightly routine. On each page of the journal, you'll find an affirmation of the day, space to write down 2 things you did well or accomplished today, 2 things you love about yourself or your body, and 2 things you're grateful for. There's also going to be an inspirational quote that goes along with the day's affirmation. I don't know about you, but I don't have a whole lot of extra time in the morning. So what I do every morning is just open it up and read the affirmation of the day. That's it. I don't have to write anything down yet. I just read the affirmation, and my goal is to keep that affirmation with me for the entire day and to make a conscious effort to repeat it over and over in my mind. If I catch myself thinking a negative thought, I simply replace it with the affirmation. I also like to increase the power of the affirmation by writing it on a sticky note and placing it somewhere I'm going to see it throughout the day. I'm also kind of silly, so I like to yell it out loud or turn it into a song when I'm in the shower or in my car. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but you'll never know how fun and freeing it is until you try it. So just saying. One more thing to keep in mind is to make sure the affirmation of the day makes sense to you and is something you believe in and feel comfortable repeating to yourself throughout the day. If not, it's not going to feel right, and it definitely won't be effective. So what to do if this happens is just tweak it a little bit to make it more authentic for you. Don't worry, I won't be offended. First of all, I won't know, and second of all, it's not about me, it's about you. So while keeping my affirmation in mind during the day, I also consciously look for things to be grateful for. There's so much once you start looking. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. You can be grateful that you wore comfortable shoes to work today, or that you got along with a difficult coworker, that you got to work on time, which is a very difficult one for me. Or you can go for the big things, your loved ones, your health, the air in your lungs, your beautiful body and everything it does for you, the sunshine. Whatever the things you're grateful for, try to really feel them and love them. Appreciate them with your whole being. And then pick your top 2 for the day and write them down in the evening as part of your nightly routine, as well as the 2 things you did well or accomplished today and the 2 things you love about yourself or your body. Before you get started on your gratitude journal, I want to leave you with one final thought. I created this journal for you because I want you to remember each and every day that you are a blessing to the world. There is no one like you on this planet. You are beautiful, special, and unique, and you deserve to love and be loved. And when you're able to truly love and cherish yourself, as well as live in constant gratitude for the small blessings all around you, not only does the world become a better place, but you become the best you possible. And you can finally begin to live your best life. Oh, and one more thing. Remember when I mentioned that about halfway through my weight loss journey, I broke all the bones in my right ankle? Well, the ironic thing about this is that it happened shortly after I created this gratitude journal for you. And when I say shortly after, I mean like literally right after, like within a few minutes of closing my laptop. So this is what happened. I'd been working on the journal for several weeks and was feeling super proud of myself for finally finishing it. I felt like I had accomplished something huge that I knew was going to help my clients and myself to feel good about ourselves and grateful for all the blessings in our lives, while also starting to feel healthier and beginning to lose weight. I remember I was kind of singing to myself like I do and dancing around the house, trying to figure out what to make for dinner. I casually walked down the basement stairs to check the pantry for something for dinner. When I say pantry, I'm using that term very, very lightly. It's really just a bunch of boxes where I keep like potatoes, onions, and some extra canned food. Anyway, I never got to my pantry because as soon as my right foot stepped onto the hardwood floor of the basement, it slipped on something wet that shouldn't have been there, and that's the story for another day. Anyway, down I went. My right ankle somehow managed to break my fall, and I heard it crack and snap as I landed on top of it. I'm not sure what was worse: the immediate intense pain that seemed to shoot through my entire body, making me instantly regret all my life decisions that had led me to this moment. Or the emotional pain of seeing the beautiful bones of my once lovely ankle, bones that had been supporting my weight for 44 years, now broken and protruding from the side of my foot. I would say both were equally shocking and equally traumatic. So after the initial crying and screaming, my poor family thought I was being murdered. As I lay there waiting for paramedics to arrive, I started thinking about my situation and couldn't help but to see the humor in it. After all, within moments of creating a gratitude journal, here I was, lying on the floor with a broken ankle, waiting for an ambulance to come and take me to the hospital. So I asked myself, what exactly is there to be grateful for in this situation? While it seemed like a ridiculous question at first, I began to realize that there were actually a lot of things to be grateful for. So here are some of the things I came up with. The first thing, I hadn't injured my knee, spine, neck, or head. That's great. I had fallen at the bottom of the stairs, not the top. Could have been a whole lot worse. Also, my family had been home at the time and were able to provide emotional support for me, as well as call an ambulance right away. And I had actually showered, brushed my hair, and put on a little makeup that day, which might sound silly or vain, but with a broken bone, who knew when the next shower would be, right? And finally, my family had thought I was getting murdered, and I wasn't, so that was great. And on top of all that, I was wearing a shirt at the time that said, "Perspective is everything," which gave me another really good laugh. But also a good reminder, because perspective truly is everything. Even in our darkest and most painful moments, physically or emotionally, we can always change our perspective, and we can always find something to be grateful for. And sometimes, even something to laugh about. That reminds me real quick. Some of you might have noticed that during our last class, I was only wearing one earring. That was not intentional. And as soon as I noticed that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is just exactly something that I would do. So I thought for half a second about going in and re-recording and all of that. And then I realized, why bother? This is like authentic Carrie right here, recording with one earring. And it gave me something to laugh about. So I guess the lesson here is, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Life is a whole lot more fun when you don't take yourself so seriously. Anyway, as I continued on to the hospital, I made sure to express my gratitude to the paramedics, nurses, and doctors who helped me. And I continued to look for things to be grateful for. So sometimes when bad things happen to us, we find ourselves getting stuck in a victim mentality, asking things like, why is this happening to me? And what did I do to deserve this? When what we should be asking is, what good things can come from this? And what is the lesson here? You've probably heard this saying by Lou Holtz. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. I believe this statement to be absolutely true. Things are always going to happen that are out of our control. But knowing that we always have a choice about how we respond to them is extremely empowering. With all of that in mind, let's talk about your homework for today's class. The first thing I want you to do is to download your gratitude journal and print it out. That way it's tangible. You can see it, so it won't be easy to forget about. Staple it together and keep it somewhere next to your bed. And that's it. You'll have it printed out and ready to use as part of your morning routine tomorrow morning and your nightly routine tomorrow night. I'm so grateful for you. I'll see you soon. Love you.